Hello everyone, this is Bart Coppens and today I'm here with a special video because today I'm going to be interviewing the president of REGUA. If you're not in the loop, it's Reserva Ecológica de Guapiaçu, a natural reserve in southeastern Brazil where I've hung out for a while and made many videos about the local insects. And I thought it would be interesting to interview some of the people here, and I'm starting today with Nicholas. Now, the first question I think we can use to kick off this interview is we're going to pretend to be totally ignorant. We're going to pretend we don't know what REGUA is. Nicholas, what is REGUA? Could you describe it to my viewers?
Hello everybody, this is Nicholas Locke from Reserva Ecológica de Guapiaçu, or Guapiaçu Ecological Reserve, southeast Brazil. The reserve started off over 20 years ago with a casual visit of a biobiologist who was interested in birds, to do a bird count. And he was so impressed by the number of species that he found here. And I was busy farming together with my family here. We've been here since 1907. Over 115 years ago, the families bought this property that you see in the background, and where Bart has been capturing his moths and identifying them and raising them to complete the cycle. Been farming here for so many years, and along came this biologist who awakened our senses and told us that this was probably one of the most precious areas of the globe. And of course, we knew that we were in a very beautiful area, as those mountains behind us can show you, but we didn't really know the magnitude and the importance of this area. So part of this property of my great-grandfathers, originally from Hamburg in Germany, filtered down through the generations. I was born in the UK, came out here to farm when I was 19, enjoyed it so much. And this sudden opinion by Stephen Knapp was so revealing to us that my family got together and we decided to support the initiative creating a reserve. A reserve? Yes, Bart.
Well, the interesting thing that people should know, so this whole natural reserve, most of it used to be farmland. And I find that fascinating. The most interesting thing about REGUA is that most of this here in the area used to be farmland, and gradually all of it has been reforested. And what I find interesting is that you guys managed to reach the turning point, I guess, where you made the realization where you want to transition from, I guess, farming to reforestation. I think that's a pretty rare thing. I think that's not something that nowadays a lot of people would do, really. And I guess I'm just curious, what really convinced you to make that transition, and wasn't it scary? Because farming was your livelihood from what I understand. So how would you transition from running a farming business into reforestation? Doesn't it feel like a massive jump into the deep, so to speak? Because, you know?
Well, that's a good question, Bart. Is it a big jump? No, it comes out very naturally once. I have a very sentimental attachment to this area. I love the forest myself. So to find a group of people that were interested in its conservation, the whole process of establishing a reserve and then trying to make it work was actually something very natural for me. So right away after the visit by this English birder, we created a management plan. We thought about how this was going to work. We created an English charity, a British charity, and then we created an organization here because it had to have its own domain as such. And of course, we started off with areas that belonged to my great-grandfather. We very soon accomplished that through the support of some very important donors. And we created this NGO that actually owned the land. So the family was moving out, and in came this NGO that came to protect this land with this particular mission, the conservation of the Upper Guapiaçu watershed. Bart forgets that we are in one of the most precious areas of the world. It's a hotspot, global hotspot, coined by Norman Myers. There are only 24 of them in the world, and this Atlantic rainforest is just one. And this initiative is just part of the Atlantic rainforest, and the idea is to try and conserve as much as possible. Farm management is my trade, and just to be able to move into actually management of a conservation project was a very simple step, fellows. And I think has contributed enormously to making this a possible model of stewardship for forests in this particular area. So what is the model? The model rests on the foundation of a organization that is a collective, that is collectively owned by an association as such, and it looks to be able to maintain the asset, the principal asset, which is land forested. And we exercise this through 5 principal programs. First of all, we try and protect as much as we can of this beautiful forest that is around us, that is much of it is in primary habitat with magnificent species across the entire food chain. We follow this up with a program of social awareness so that we explain to local communities how important this is for them, and that what we're trying to do is an absolutely, it cuts across any particular interest or self-interest. We then try and restore as much as we can of land that we're able to secure, and basically we're looking at securing land that the community isn't interested in. It's degraded hillsides which have to be put back into forest to complete their natural vocation. And then so we restore these areas, looking at connectivity, trying to gathering seeds from the forest around us, and then through the nursery propagating seedlings, then planting them out to create new habitat which offers the biodiversity to run, to mix, to cross over and increase. Then we have a program of research. It's no use Bart and Nicholas telling you how important this is and how wonderful this is. Really, we've got to try and bring other students who are in universities studying biology and ecology and all sorts of science for them to corroborate why this is so important. And lastly, the last program is sustainable activity. So basically we have a lodge, we have accommodation open, we run courses, we have disciplines, we try and bring people here so that they spend their money here with us, and that enables us to pay for all the bills and pay for electricity and all the fuel that we need to be able to make this thing work. That's how we do it.
I do think that's a very interesting model because, you know, what I see, it's a combination of basically, well, many streams of income, yeah, that you cleverly try to combine. By basically generating a little bit of income by using the environment, right, in a sustainable way. Mm-hmm. And I think that is, that's a very good example to set, because many people have the misconception, oh, if I'm a farmer and I have to do something for the environment, I have to give up my income, right? I have to give up my farm. But that's not true, right? REGUA is an example of how you can make a sustainable income as well, right? And have a sort of business model for reforestation, right? It's a win-win situation, if you ask me. My next question is maybe going to be a little bit more simple in nature. What's your favorite place or property or forest that you own in REGUA?
That's a difficult question, because that's a difficult question to answer, all you guys out there. REGUA has rather a large ambition. It wants to try and create, for the association wants to accumulate land to offer functionality in this watershed of the Guapiaçu River. We're talking about a watershed that's roughly 45,000 hectares, or 450 square kilometers. This may appear large to you, but in the country of Brazil, 45,000 hectares isn't so much. Obviously, we're never going to be able to secure all of this land, but because we're located only an hour and a half from Rio de Janeiro, it means that we can, and it protects this water of the Guapiaçu River, which then is distributed to cities that are next to Rio de Janeiro itself, so feeding over 2.5 million people use the water from the Guapiaçu River. We believe that this watershed is absolutely priority for us to save. And what has been really interesting, and Bart is alluding to this, is the fact that through 20 years of work, of research work, we have slowly built up lists of the species that are present here. And today we have over 487 species of birds. We have almost all the mammals that you'd expect to have in the Atlantic rainforest, bar the jaguar, because they've been hunted out in the 1940s. In fact, there's even a return of the tapir. So any visitor could actually see one of the 17 tapirs that have been brought. Actually, there were only 14 brought, and they have actually produced young tapirs. But any of you visitors might be able to see them, which would be amazing. But this list, not only of the big species, also applies to the invertebrates. And this is the area that is so interesting, and that is interest to Bart. We have a list of over 700 species of butterflies. The moths we are only developing, but just
thousands.
Just thousands. Just in hawk moths, there are over 100 species of hawk moths, which are doing much of the pollinating of these trees here. We have 450 species of ants. We have 204 species of dragonflies. We have over 550 species of spiders. All of these have been researched and produced lists on. So these lists go towards corroborating why this is so important to preserve. And based on this list is that we have reached to the government and we have shown them that our efforts in securing through land purchase, through the actual ranger work, and through the expansion of the very REGUA reserve, the government has identified and made this a priority area for conservation, for restoration and preservation in the state of Rio de Janeiro. And I think this will be our greatest legacy, is leaving something for the next generation, something we have started over 100 years ago, something, of course, in farming then, but still preserving, and now the last 20 years, continually adding more land into the REGUA reserve, making this a function, restoring the functionality of the reserve, the ecological functionality of the watershed, restoring the ecological functionality of the watershed, and offering its biodiversity, one of the top areas that have been studied in the state of Rio de Janeiro, a chance to secure this for the next generation. And if young people like Bart are interested, he is a very young person compared to me, but if this young man is interested in our biodiversity and has seen its relevance, then I think we can attract young people to carry on this important task of trying to look after our heritage, our environmental heritage for the future. It is so important that we address the three big problems that we face today. That is the loss of habitat and extinction of species, that of water security, and that of a runaway climate. And I think at this place, even though it's only a drop in the ocean, it's a step in the right direction. And I think that you will, if any of you have a chance to visit us, you will appreciate the seriousness, the commitment, and the results that we've obtained over the last 20 years.
Absolutely. And relating to that, I know there's many people who visit REGUA, who come here to volunteer or visit. Now on my channel there's probably a lot of people watching who are interested in insects. So I would like to ask, what if there's people watching who see me do all this moth research in REGUA on YouTube? Maybe there's people watching who would like to join. What would you suggest that they would do?
We need to observe, we need to make reports, we need to monitor what exists here so that in the future we can repeat the same exercise and see whether we are improving, whether our actions are actually making a concrete result for the future.
And if they want to visit REGUA, for example, or volunteer here?
Please, we would love to have you guys. All of you, any of you, just come along, write to me at www.regua.com.br. Have a look at write to me. We would love to have you. You're going to edit this.
Yeah,
we would love to have you. You just get in contact with us through the email address or through the website or through our Instagram, REGUA.br, and you can come and help us. That's what we need. We need all the help to try and understand what is here, what is here at this time, and then so that we can actually measure our results as we go along. So we can measure the impact of our actions today.
I think also one of the strengths of REGUA, and I've said this to other people before, but I'll say it to you too. One of the strengths of REGUA, in my opinion, is that they are very open-minded. For example, I pretty much, when I came here, when I arrived here, I was a volunteer, and I suppose I still am, but REGUA is very open and warm-hearted to, well, what you could call amateurs. Usually I don't like the word amateur, but amateur in this context means, for example, an enthusiast who doesn't have a degree, but that doesn't mean, for example, that you don't have useful skills that couldn't contribute to the environment, right? And me, as somebody who is more of a, started out as a social media entomologist, for me it was always hard to find places that take me seriously and that believe in me and want to collaborate with me. And this is why I would really like to recommend REGUA to the people who are watching my channel right now. If you are knowledgeable, that is all that REGUA will care about. They will see your knowledge, right? And second of all, this environment is so biodiverse and so rich in insects. If you spend any time in the forest making observations and studying the insects, you will undoubtedly discover new things. Whether you are interested in mantids, in ants, in butterflies or moths, I highly recommend you guys write a letter to REGUA, tell us your skills, your interests, what you learn, your work experience. And I think there is a very, very good chance that you'll have an opportunity to contribute to the environment here using your knowledge, right? And that's something I really would want to emphasize, because to me REGUA is also this community, a community of people with all sorts of skills and all sorts of abilities, and they all come together and they create something pretty great in my opinion. And that's because REGUA, in a way, they are very accepting, and I think they like to see people's talents and employ them, you know. So yeah, that's I think, in my opinion, really commendable, and also something that the environment really needs. Because I meet a lot of amateurs, enthusiasts, people who would love to help the environment, people who would love to work with animals, but they don't get the opportunity, right? I mean, nowadays people are talking about the environment and everybody should do their best to help, but at the same time it's becoming difficult for some amateurs to help, you know, so you have to make it more inclusive. And that's one of the things that they are, in my opinion, really doing amazingly well. Second of all, the Atlantic rainforest, right? If I'm not mistaken, it is one of the world's most deforested rainforests. 85% of the original forest cover was lost. So about the area in general, the Atlantic rainforest, how would you see the future of the Atlantic rainforest? Are you optimistic or pessimistic? How do you think the situation is going to change in the future?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, I'm sure you're all aware that the Atlantic rainforest is this narrow strip of forest that hugs the Atlantic seaboard. We're here with some range of mountains just behind me, and that represents the fissure between two continents, the South American continent and the African continent, as they sheared apart over 180 million years ago. The Atlantic rainforest stretches not only from the shores, from the Atlantic Ocean, but it crosses up into the Paramours on the top of these mountains, and in some areas it goes a bit beyond. But basically it hugs this Atlantic seaboard for over 2,500 kilometers. And all in all, it's about a 1,500,000, it covered an area of 1,500,000 square kilometers. As Bart was saying, roughly 15% is left in varying fragments. And we are located, in this part of Rio de Janeiro, we are located in perhaps the third largest remaining fragment of about 280,000 hectares of contiguous forest, called the Mosaico Central Fluminense. We're just one protected area within this entire mosaic of protected areas. And as I was telling you earlier, we have the tapir coming back. This really is a very threatened. It lost 85% of its forest cover. And basically that's where 120, perhaps 60% of Brazil's population live. So contending for water, for eco-services and all sorts of things. I'm very optimistic when I think of the future. I can't help feeling optimism. I don't feel depression or pessimism. And I think that a project like this, seeing the support that it's given from not only donors and institutions who want to help us, but also from young people who want to study elements through citizen science. This man is a good example of a person who is interested in a particular an area of science and wants to investigate it. I am a farm manager, and if we can do this together, you can imagine what the world is capable of. And I think that's exactly what we need. We need examples of stewardship, of care, of responsibility, of inclusion, but also of responsibility and commitment. And I think given those ingredients, I think we can all make contributions towards a better world. And so I am full of enthusiasm and optimism, in the sense that I believe from the results that we've seen today, I think we can prepare ourselves for a better world. I was very moved when I saw Greta talk about the responsibilities that the older generation had towards the world and leaving it prepared for the younger generation. It's nothing new, but still it was a message that I took personally, and that is what we're trying to do. I'm willing to help Greta Thunberg with her aspirations for a better world, and Bart too is as well. Isn't this great? We can all do it together.
I'll do my best. Now, I have a few more questions if you don't mind, because one thing I was always wondering is, where do you see REGUA in the future, like in 10 or 20 years? What do you think will be different? How do you see REGUA carry on?
Okay, this is a very good question. Talk mainly about, I think you're looking at the word sustainability.
Of course, it's hard to predict the future, right? But we can make an educated guess.
Okay, in terms of both physically, I can see it reaching maybe even doubling in size, which would be brilliant. At the moment, we have 8,000 hectares, which we've been able to secure over the last 20 years. And we have another 4,000 in partnership agreements. Our aspirations are to double that in 20 years. In terms of sustainability, we're looking at a model that has its own income streaming, not only from the lodge, from tourism, but I think increasingly through eco-services. And the way I see it in the future is that we will be remunerated in the future for protecting the forest and actually protecting water sources. So I think all of this there will be in the future. They will definitely help us maintain the accounts. We also have RPPN, it's a private park status, which the government also stamps and approves. Takes a long process to do that, and I think through that also we will see some sort of small payments to be able to maintain a core staff of rangers to be able to preserve this. So I think through visitation and a combined visitation through conferences, congresses, coursework, symposiums, and all the disciplines that we have here through students, and through project work itself, and through reforestation, I can see a sort of an amalgam of income streams that will be able to help us ride through to economic, not prosperity, but enough to be able to pay for its work. And I think maintaining that core work is the model that we can actually have every municipality of Brazil, let's say every municipality of Rio de Janeiro, which is over 92 municipalities, and the same size Rio de Janeiro state as Costa Rica. I can see a project, an NGO, like an association, working in each municipality. And I see that as a way for the future as well, where the collective civil society is actually looking after its own patrimony. And I can see that as a model for the future. Prosperity, economic prosperity, and transparency. Why not?
One thing is for sure, this place is not done for a long time, and I'll be there hopefully to help. All right, Nicholas?
Yes,
right,
certainly,
Nicholas?
certainly.
Lastly, I would like to ask you some questions that were sent by a viewer. So, some of us know his name. It's Mr. Rob. He is somebody who supports my channel a lot, and he also had some personal questions for you.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, Rob. Come to REGUA. We would like to have you here, man. So, Rob, I like to ask us, what are your goals for REGUA this year? And what are some of the biggest challenges confronting REGUA this year?
Let's start by our ambition then, Rob. Our ambition is to secure about 2 or 3 properties that sum about 300 hectares. That was our ambition, to amplify and extend the reserve by 200 or 300 hectares. That will be great this year. We have some staff that we're out to try and arrange to be able to help some managers, and that will be another project. We're also seeking assistance of a company that's going to help us with our education program, and to get that approved will also be of tremendous value for us. I think also every year has its own challenges, Rob. Ensuring that we plant all the trees that we want to plant, and make sure that at the end of the year they're all growing. Yeah. That's a great desire. Making sure that the tapirs that are coming here, I think there are another 3 tapirs to come, released will adapt very well into the wild, and we may have another 2 young tapirs born here, and our camera traps keep on photographing them in the furthest confines of the reserve. Another ambition of ours, we're making our we're designing our scientific plan. We're designing our scientific plan, and by the end of the year that we should have that in order. That would be great. Through more contacts, through listing all the universities that are working with us, currently 14, and getting more students to come here. I think that's a great ambition. And making sure that everyone is happy doing their work. We now have 42 people working at REGUA, and ensuring that they're all happy, that they're all satisfied with the work. I think those are the great ambitions. The challenges are always to try and, it's a small challenge to try and persuade donors to help us, but I think we've been successful based on the track record, based on our results here. And also getting the community on board so they don't see this as a threat. They don't see that the occupation and the restoration of forests, the return of the forest, of the biodiversity, isn't seen as something that they don't want. And I think that requires a good, strong education message of collective participation and co-responsibility in bringing kids here, ensuring that they learn and that they can benefit from this, and that they see the good that's coming out of this. Now, we are in a very special part of the world which is still very well protected. It's about 60% forested in this watershed, far different from the average of the Atlantic rainforest. So we hope that will be our only challenge, to get through and reach to the communities that require understanding, require patience to be able to reach them. There's a lot of noise in the background there.
Oh, that's fine. I can reduce the noise or edit it down. Okay. Well, I would like to say thank you, Nicholas. You are obviously a natural at this, right? Usually when I interview people, I'm the one doing the work, but I can tell you are a really professional at doing interviews. Last but not least, maybe this is a silly question. Do you have a favorite butterfly or moth? Maybe you don't. I know you work with many other animals too, but...
That's a difficult question, Bart. My father was very interested in moths and butterflies and collected butterflies when he was in his late 20s. And in fact, he actually sent them to the British Museum.
Oh.
So his interest in nature really stems from a deep appreciation of butterflies and moths. They're very colorful and they're very beautiful. I like what Bart tells me. I'm a generalist. I love my trees, principally in restoring forests. I love seeing a tree grow and producing flowers and giving fruit and telling me that it wants to be planted and multiplied. That gets me. But all these animals that are doing all the pollination, that are part of the big food chain, is something which is just so magnificent, so important, and perhaps we don't attribute the importance it really deserves. So I read once that there's a group in Denmark that are actually very concerned about the decline of insects altogether in Europe, that nowadays your windscreen, whenever you travel from Copenhagen all the way to Sofia in Bulgaria, you probably won't find one insect on your windscreen, and that is very worrying. And so my favorite really of all these things is just invertebrates themselves. I think each one has a very special part to play. And as Darwin says, the Lord made us, but he just had a particular liking for making beetles. So beetles it is, yes.
Well, thanks for conducting this interview, Nicholas. I would like to shake your hand, and hopefully we will be working together many times in the future. Let's hope so. I think you guys are really doing a wonderful and inspiring thing. And to the people watching, if you're watching this, if you're seeing my videos, please come to REGUA. Everybody is welcome to join me with the research with butterflies and moths here in the area. This was Bart Coppens. I hope you enjoyed this interview with the president of REGUA.
And thank you very much for this opportunity to talking to you. And do take this man seriously. This man is a natural scientist. And I am a witness to his fantastic work that he's been doing for the last, well, he's been here for 3 months and now for a second period of 3 months. We love his work. His dedication to nature is an example to us all. Thank you all for supporting him.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now I'm gonna put on some mosquitoes. Yeah, the mosquitoes here are crazy.
You got me, got me up.
Scratching myself the whole interview. Well, you're really good at this, yo.
No.
Yeah, you're a natural. Just
natural.
Yeah.
Oh, come on then, let me get you your chair, please. All right, do you think that was good?
It was very good.
I think your business will just go up to the roof now.
Of course. with you, it's going to be millions of views. It's going to be the Nicholas channel now.
You're taking over my channel. You can't
Yeah.
my channel.
They were like, who is this handsome young man? I don't want to see Bart Coppens anymore.
75-year-old. Yeah, I want to see the young Bart anymore. Give me this guy. Oh, all right then. We had a lot of fun on that.
Yeah. So I think we were just in time before the thunderstorm.
I think so, yeah.
Whew. Wow. Just look at how wonderful and beautiful this place is, people. REGUA is a small paradise on earth. And I am so privileged to be able to stay here at the grace of the Locke family. Thank you guys so much for your generosity and kindness that you've shown towards me. I feel like I'll always be in debt for the awesomeness and the experiences and the friends that I made here. Because I think that's what life is really about, you know? Life is not about becoming rich, hoarding money. Life is about experiences and living in the moment, in my opinion. And for me, nature is something I always really valued, and butterfly and moth conservation, the animals I really care about. So today I'm really happy that I managed to get an interview with Nicholas from REGUA. Locally, he is a legend. In my opinion, he is a legend. This is a person who committed his life to conservation of the forest. And that's, in my opinion, one of the most noble things somebody can do. I was also overwhelmed at how good Nicholas is at talking. I said it before in the interview, but usually when I interview people, I'm a very talkative person. Usually it's me doing all the blah blah blah, but Nicholas, boom, I can tell that he is very experienced. I apologize for the fact I've been scratching myself all the time in the interview. Truth is, the place where we decided to do the interview, we thought we would have a nice and relaxed background with no distractions. But there was a cloud of mosquitoes around us. I tried my best not to be distracted. I tried my best to be a professional interviewer. But it became very hard. It was like, oh, it's so itchy. So finally, I have some relief. Oh, mosquito spray. Whew, that feels good. Guys, it's a rainforest, yeah? Mosquitoes are a part of the ecosystem. The larvae of mosquitoes are important food for fish, tadpoles, frogs, salamanders, whole range of aquatic life. How about the nymphs of dragonflies and damselflies? They love to eat the mosquito larvae. Mosquitoes, they belong here. This is their home too. Not only cute tapirs and capybaras, But man, they can be annoying. On warm days, you get a cloud and it's so itchy. Lesson learned. Next time I'm gonna use this stuff when I interview somebody. Nicholas, if you're watching, thank you so much. And of course, next to giving Nicholas a lot of credit, we have to credit his wonderful wife Raquel, his daughter Michaela and his son Thomas, who make valuable contributions to REGUA, working long hours, working hard hours. It's very much in a way a family enterprise, but you can see they're really putting in all the work, putting in all the hours. And of course it's all the staff here in REGUA as well, of which there are dozens, so I cannot mention them all. If you're watching, you know who you are. That's what makes this place wonderful. Last but not least, I am totally new at interviewing people, but I would like to get better at it. I would like to practice. So in the future I'm going to interview more people at REGUA, so eat your heart out. If you're watching, maybe Michaela, Raquel, one day I'm going to interview you too. Hello everyone, this is
Hi,
Michaela. What's up? Now
From
you've
REGUA,
seen her
Brazil.
too. Or somebody else at REGUA, it could be anyone. If you like my interviews, I also recommend checking out my podcast. I have a podcast, it's called the Rodopneuma podcast, where I talk about various things in life. It's not always about the environment. And of course there's my YouTube channel. You have literally thousands of videos on this channel, including sometimes videos where I'm going to interview people. In the future I'm going to be returning to REGUA to research and study the life cycles of butterflies and moths, so stay tuned, I have a lot in store for you. And also here's a message and a conclusion that we drew from the interview. Everybody can do what I do. I'm not special. I'm not special, okay? The only way in which I am special is because I put in a lot of hours. I put in a lot of research, reading about butterflies and moths, becoming knowledgeable about them. But I'm not the only person on earth who can do this. You can do this too. Read books about butterflies. Read scientific papers about butterflies. Study them, study them, study them. And one day, it doesn't matter if you have a degree or not, even if you are an amateur, even if you're an academic scientist, you are very much welcome here. And if you have the knowledge of insects that you think could contribute to research and conservation, you are welcome to visit here. You can! Send us an email, please. That's what I did. And you can do the same. So, and hopefully maybe we'll be here someday together, researching the life cycles, or the faunistics, or anything else about butterflies or moths. Or maybe you prefer other insects, maybe you prefer beetles or dragonflies. You're welcome to study in the natural reserve. There are so many beautiful insects here. I think you have 11,000 hectares of reforested land, is that true?
No, it's not true at all.
Oh, well.
Don't listen to Bart.
Well,
I'm going to rephrase that question.
well,
It's 500 hectares of reforested.
okay. So we can ask it again.
You ask it again.
Okay.
We're going to edit this.
Yeah. Okay. So, oops. I don't know where I got that figure from. Everybody makes mistakes, people. Just a funny little thing. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time here, and I hope this video will inspire other people as well. See you in REGUA someday. Or see you on YouTube if you prefer to watch the videos. It's all up to you. Bart Coppens out. Catch you in my next one. Oh, that was a fantastic interview. What did you guys think? Please leave a comment. Then don't forget, anybody can come to REGUA. The most important thing that I want to say is that if you are watching this, you could literally visit us. We accept tourists, we accept volunteers, and we accept students and researchers. The cool thing about REGUA is that it's a community of people that are interested in nature. And they are all very diverse, varying from people with PhDs, actual scientists, universities, but also talented amateurs, or even people who don't know much about nature at all, but have the passion to come and help it. So if you are somebody like that, well, the most important thing to remember is anybody can make a difference. Yes, you too, my dear viewer, you can make a difference too. So consider it. It's a great adventure. There we go. What's up, everyone? I'm gonna look for tapirs. Hope I don't hit my camera on something. There you go. Thanks. Thank you guys for watching my channel, and if you subscribe you will learn even more about the environment. And of course a whole lot about insects, which are the main theme of my channel. But sometimes I do some different stuff relating to different animals as well. If you were excited to see that, well, you better subscribe. Bye bye.